Welcome to the first ever podcast, the 90th minute podcast. My name is Dalian Leach. I will be your host, and I am joined with my good friend, Miles Kumbay. How are you?
Oh, wow. Kumbay. All right. Not Kumbay.
Hey.
Known me. All right. You know what? I'll let it slide. It was better than the vast majority of other things I've heard when people try to pronounce my name.
Yeah, guys, we're just going to be talking about some footy today. We're just going to be discussing the transfer window. It's been going on in January in the world of football or in America's soccer. This podcast will just be our thoughts on transfers, the seasons, the players, everything soccer, and we'll just pretty much get into it.
On top of that, there will be definitely some very honest opinions coming out about how the season has gone so far. And just to get it across so our listeners do know, Dalian is a massive Tottenham fan. I'm a massive Man United fan. So I'm going to be a little biased when he's talking about his Tottenham players and he's talking about my Man United players.
And as you'll see in this podcast episode, especially just starting off, there's a couple things about Tottenham. You'll definitely hear my bias towards some of the transfers, but I'm just excited to get into this. So the first transfer I wanted to talk about is Thiago Jallo. He's a Portuguese center half, and he plays for Lille in the French league. Right now, Lille are currently not doing as good as they normally would be. They're not in the title race as of right now. But Thiago Jallo is potentially going to be moving to Juventus for about 3.5 million euros, plus a 10% sell-on clause with a contract till 2028. I think this deal is an absolute steal. 3.5 million euros for Thiago Jallo. His market value is about 11 million. So Juventus are getting like a really, really good deal.
And my bad if I misheard you, but did you say loan or is he like he's there?
He's moving there. It's a permanent transfer for 3.5 mil.
I don't know if that's as much of a steal as you think it is. Because here's the thing: is a lot of young players have the risk of like that issue where they show extremely promising stats and then like completely fall off. For like an example in like a lot of American sports, like Jeremy Lin in basketball, he went on like a 2-month tear where he was averaging like 25 a game, and then Linsanity, and then literally fell off again. And the thing is like, you know, he was bought for minimal money because we know that like he can do that, but I don't think it's a scenario in which that 11 million. I think it's somewhat of a steal in the sense that, you know, maybe he's worth half of that. But I honestly think for a really big club like Juventus, the opportunities he's going to have for the rest of his career, because on top of the fact that he's going to be able to play for them, he's going to learn from the best, and he might get better, but he's also competing against the best. So 3.5 million makes sense because in the terms of Juventus, he may not be as valuable to them as he would be to Lille.
Right. Well, what I'll tell you is I do agree to some extent. I mean, he has potential. He's not a big shot just yet, but he has really, really good potential. I've watched Lille play this league. I've watched them play this season, and I can tell you Jallo is the real deal. I've been watching him all season. He's really fast for a center back. He's got really good stamina. His strength and his agility is really surprising. He's winning like 5 or 6 headers a game. He has very, very good defensive awareness. For me, personally, it's a 10 out of 10 signing. I think he could perfectly fit into Juventus's back line, and if he isn't, because they do have Bremer, if he doesn't fit in their back line, send him on loan. Give him a year or two away from the club. Put him in the Prem. He would be great for like Aston Villa or Newcastle even. Put him on loan. Send him out. He would be good in La Liga too. I think he would be a good La Liga player. He would be good in Girona's back line as well. I think he would fit their tactics a lot. Send him on loan. Give him a chance to really prove himself in Europe, and then bring him back and start him. I mean, he's got, like I said, he's got very good pace. He's got very good agility. His defensive awareness is good. He can be a little bit immature sometimes on the back. He's still young. But
he is only 23.
He's young, but I mean, he's good. And like I said, I think he's a perfect signing for Juventus. And they have the depth that they'll get for having him in that spot, because they are missing out on depth right now. Juventus's problem is their defense. So
they did lose a lot of their big signs.
Yeah.
Chiellini has retired. He left a while ago, but he's retired.
Right.
Bonucci has left. De Ligt went to Bayern.
Yep.
So all their heavy hitters
are gone.
Yeah.
I mean, so I think, and I wouldn't say Jallo is a heavy hitter. He's definitely not, but he potentially really could be.
And, being, a Portugal fan.
Right.
I would like to see him do a little bit of that.
And he's a good Portuguese player. Like,
yeah.
He fits into their national team pretty well, too. So, yeah.
This will give an opportunity for him to grow.
Yeah.
I do disagree with the price range. I think the price range is accurate for him because the difference in league between Serie A is massive.
Agreed.
But if at all, he does bring some defense that Juventus desperately needs.
Absolutely.
But,
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the only 10 out of 10s that I have here today. And I think that's saying a lot. So
personally, maybe it will turn out to be better for Juventus. I might be being a little harsh. But I personally think it's a better deal for Jallo, the player himself, than it is for Juventus.
Absolutely.
Because Jallo is going to, where he's going to learn so much.
Absolutely. I agree with that. I agree with that. And again, I could be being too optimistic here. A 10 out of 10 is a perfect score, keep in mind.
Yeah.
But I see a win for both teams. Juventus is getting their depth, and they're getting a good player that can learn and grow in their system. And like I said, send him on loan, bring him back, and let him thrive. And then Jallo's getting a big move here. So for me, this is a good deal.
I'll say this. I think it's an 8 out of 10 on Juventus's part.
Okay.
Absolute 10 out of 10 for Jallo's part.
I agree with that. I agree with that more than the 10 out of 10. I do think Jallo is getting a bit more of a good deal here. So that's my thoughts on Thiago Jallo.
If I can, I did really, really want to bring this up. You know very well that I love Man United.
Oh, yeah.
We recently have given loan to Jadon Sancho.
I'm glad you bring that up. That's my next. That's the next thing I wanted to talk about.
All right.
I'll let you start. This is your club, your team. So
now, I can't lie to you. When I first found out that Jadon Sancho was going to be a part of Man United, I was jumping up and down like a little schoolgirl. I was excited. Are you kidding me? This guy, I thought up until then, I would say Jadon Sancho was just as effective as Erling Haaland was for Dortmund. Now, afterwards, Dortmund had a season where I was like, okay, Haaland is a better player and will become more effective. But Jadon Sancho, I find to be a little bit more versatile. All right, Haaland is your standard poacher. What makes him so good is that he is massive, he's strong, he's smart, he knows where to be, and he always has somebody who's going to find him.
Yes.
All right?
Agreed.
He was working with Jadon Sancho and Jude Bellingham. Now he's working with De Bruyne, Foden, everybody. And I think that's partially what makes him such a great player. I think Jadon Sancho has the ability to be a good player on his own, but the difference between being an English player in Germany or an English player in England is there's a massive amount of pressure.
Yeah.
Other players like Kylian Mbappe have talked about this because he has pressure. He doesn't really get to escape from being on the national team because he's always in France. So he has the pressure from the PSG fans. He has pressure from the French fans.
Right.
And I think that is what tore down Jadon Sancho because very few players can really handle that stress. And when he was in Germany, he was given, I wouldn't say necessarily the keys to the offense, but quite a lot of freedom when he was playing on the wing.
Yeah, and what I would say to that is I agree with you. I think being an English player playing in the Premier League, there's definitely more of a push for that player to be good. There's more of an expectation for them to perform than there would be, your Mitomas or your Sons of the world. But I think, for me personally, I think Jadon Sancho should have never joined United. I think it's a good for his career, and he was just in his prime at Dortmund, and I think Dortmund could have kept him, and they really could have just gotten the most out of him. And now that they have him back, I think he's gonna get his mojo back, and he's gonna be able to come back to United a lot more confident. He's gonna come back a lot more mature. And I think he's gonna be good for United. I mean,
I would agree with you if it was for a whole season.
Yeah, it's a short loan. It is a short loan.
That's the issue. Is I love Jadon Sancho. I don't think he is able to play in England, and there's no disrespect for that. There's just so much more attention in England. If you ask, this isn't an actual statistic, but off my personal opinion, almost everybody who I've asked, they've said that the Premier League is like the height of football between the leagues.
I agree.
You agree with that?
Premier League is the best. This is the highest quality league, in my opinion.
I disagree, but I will say that.
That's fair.
I will let you have that. But a lot of people are going to say that the Premier League is the height of football.
Right.
And with that becomes a lot of attention. And I think the thing that makes it really hard for Jadon Sancho is just it's hard when you're looked at just so diligently in every sense that you play.
Right.
And part of the reason I think Tomori, I think one of the best center backs in the world, I would say probably top 10, top 15, is playing in Milan.
Yep.
And he did not get recognized for the English national team until much later.
Right.
And that recognition was either he was going to be like Maldini level or he was going to play in England.
Yeah.
And that just shows you how much pressure is put into England. Now, Maguire is quite the player when he plays for England.
Yeah.
And he's much better of a center back when he plays for England.
He has his moments for the English national team. I agree.
But if you look at him for Man United, me as a Man United fan, I want him gone. I'm sick of it. I want him gone. But I would much rather have Tomori. But there's so much more of a stage for him that he's able to say, well, hey, I play in the Premier League for one of what is considered to be the big 6 teams. Tomori can't say that. And what this long-winded explanation is getting to is that Sancho has been put on that massive stage where there are more rules involved. I think that really got to him because that the pressure is just off the charts. But on top of that, the coaching staff that he has worked with has been awful.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not sure what's going on with your club. I'm not sure what's going on with Manchester United right now, but they really need to figure their stuff out. Also, another player, to change topics just a little bit.
Absolutely, yeah.
Another player that will be joining Sancho at Dortmund, a lone player, also from the Premier League, Ian Maatsen. He's a Dutch left back. He can play winger. And personally, I like this deal for Dortmund. I think he's a young prospect that could do good for them. And he's going to be there till 2027, which for Dortmund and for Ian Maatsen, it's a great deal. But for Chelsea, I have it as a 5 out of 10. They're playing Levi Colwill out of position. Like, he's playing as a left back and he's a center back when they have Ian Maatsen who could just slot right in there.
I may love Man United, but Chelsea are in way worse crap than my team.
As a Tottenham fan myself, I'm happy watching this club burn. I'm happy watching them finish mid-table. It brings a joy. It distracts me from watching Arsenal finish above us. So I'm okay with it.
I'm sorry for interrupting you, but I just really needed it. I needed to be known. I love Man United. I'm not as bad as Chelsea, but go ahead.
Right. I'm sorry. No, I
Ian
agree.
Maatsen, go ahead.
Ian Maatsen looks great. I haven't watched too much of him, so I'm not gonna sit here and say I know everything about him. But from the small things that I have seen from him, the couple games I have watched of him, he's been a delight. He does look the part, and I give it 2 or 3, maybe even 4 more seasons, and he's gonna be a name that everybody knows. And whether that's for Chelsea, whether he gets a bigger move, I could easily see him in the Bundesliga. I mean, he's going to Dortmund. He's going to be great for Dortmund, I think. But I could easily see him being a permanent Dortmund solution in the future if they want to buy him.
Especially as a replacement for Guerrero, because he just went. Guerrero
Yes.
just left, and he was
unplayable at times.
He was
class. I agree with you.
Amazing.
I think Ian Maatsen really shows like qualities of Guerrero. I think he could really be a good filler for that spot.
I think he has some big shoes to fill.
Yes, I agree
definitely.
with you.
But I think Dortmund is just a plethora of building young talents.
Yep.
So if there was a club to go to,
it should be Dortmund.
It should be Dortmund. They need a left back. They're willing to pour time and effort into him.
Mm-hmm. And he's gonna get minutes.
And he's
definitely gonna get minutes. And
he's definitely gonna get minutes.
And that's that. And Sancho will too. I think that's the good thing about going to Dortmund, especially in this transfer window. They're lacking in ability right now, and bringing these players in that aren't getting chances at their club, who do have quality. Because as much as I hate United, Sancho has quality. He's having it rough right now. He's at a tin pot club, as some would say.
Screw you. But yes, he does need playing time. I agree. I would definitely say that his talent and ability is twice of that of Antony's right now.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
absolutely. But in the sense of like, I'm never gonna tell right now, Ian Maatsen, Jadon Sancho. I'm never gonna tell like a young developing player like I would never say that going to Dortmund is a bad idea.
Mm.
It always seems like they have the chance to kind of learn and grow. And they have, especially in Sancho's case, he has one of the greatest center attacking mids of this generation, to veteran center attacking mid, Marco Reus, to coach him through it.
Right.
Which is an invaluable amount of information, because look how good Musiala is, and he's had Mueller coaching him.
Yeah.
So I can't say that it's not a bad move. It's going to get him minutes. Crossing my fingers that it gets him back on the Man United squad.
I mean, Dortmund is a big club.
Yeah.
They're a big club. So I think they'll both do very well. And speaking of big clubs, this is the transfer we've all been waiting for, ladies and gentlemen. Radu Dragusin finally to Tottenham Hotspur for $30 million from Genoa, plus a loan swap for Jed Spence, which
this man says
this is the chef's kiss. Not only did we just get a depth player who can come in and even start if Van der Veen or Romero get injured, he can fill in that spot perfectly. I've watched him. I've been scouting him since I knew about our interest in him. He looks amazing. He's aggressive. He's smart. He's fast. He's not afraid to challenge an attacker. His slide tackles are timed perfectly. He just looks the part. And I can't sit here and like I'm not gonna explode over him, but he just looks so good. Like he just looks so good. And on top of that, we swap loaned him. So Dragusin is coming to us permanently, but we also swapped it plus the 30 mil, a loan move for Jed Spence. So not only do we have a young talent going to Genoa to get playtime and experience, but he's going to be able to come back and fill in for Porro when Porro's injured. And I think that makes this signing for me in the 8 and 10 range, because not only are we getting a pretty decent center half as filler for our starters, but we're also getting some of our youth out into a bigger league, more experience to come back and hopefully do something great for our club.
I'm not going to lie to you. I blacked out after you said, now that we're talking about big clubs, excuse me, United, Juventus, Milan, I just know that you love and you're so biased for Tottenham.
Right.
You friggin' loser. Let's hear about that trophy case. But no, okay, on a real note, I agree with you. I can't lie to you. Eric Dyer was dead weight.
Yes, and I was going to get to that after this. Yes, the fact that he's gone. And listen, guys, there have been a couple of games where if we didn't have Eric Dyer, we would have been in trouble. That game against Chelsea that we lost in the beginning of the season, where Nico Jackson just got a hat trick of tap-ins. It was the worst hat trick I've ever seen in my entire life. But Eric Dyer fought for the badge that game, and I got to give him props for that game. But that's the only game I'm giving him props for. Eric Dyer, I've been wanting you to leave my club since 2018. Honestly, 3.5 mil to Bayern. Good. I have it written in my notes. This is a 1,000 out of 10 deal. Good riddance. See you later. I'm so tired of Eric Dyer and Ben Davies and Emerson Royale. And I will say Ben Davies has been good this season. As of late, he's been really good, but he's dead wood. And
Dead weight?
He's dead wood.
Dead wood.
It's dead wood. I say dead wood. You could say dead. He's dead. It's the same thing. He's dead weight. But yeah, I mean, I think that's a A+ deal. We finally got rid of the biggest problem at our club besides maybe Royale.
I'm going to give Royale a little bit of a pass because he's not a center back.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, he's not a center back. He's a right back. We all know that. But to be a good defensive player, you need to be able to do both. I mean, look at Colwell. You know how I stand on Chelsea. I hate Chelsea. For the viewers at home, I hate Chelsea.
He never stops talking about it.
I would rather die than ever support Chelsea or talk good about Chelsea, but I'm going to talk good about them this one time. Levi Colwell has a really high ceiling for me, and I think he can play amazing in center back and left back. He's not an ideal left back, and I would rather them use Ian Maatsen as a left back, but he's pretty good. He's holding it down for the most part, so I can't hate on him. But enough about that Tin Pot Club. The other problem at Tottenham is our attack. And Big Ange has went and requested this player personally. He's come to this player and said, hey, I know your last stint in the Premier League wasn't the best, but you have something to offer. And that is exactly why we signed Timo Werner for 17 million euros from Leipzig. And listen, before you say anything.
You're going to get an honest opinion here.
No, and you're going to get one from me too. This is a 6 out of 10 signing. And here's why. He's so good in the Bundesliga. He's so good. But the way he played for Chelsea has me scared because if he plays like that, there's only two ways he's gonna play. We're either gonna get Chelsea Werner and we're gonna finish mid-table because he can't score goals because he wants to play Fortnite all day, or or he's gonna be this big elite German player like he is at Leipzig, and he's gonna bag 20-something goals. And for me, it sits at a 6 for me because he's not mediocre, so I can't give him a 5. But I also don't know if he's gonna be class for us. And he's not a Harry Kane. No one will ever be Harry Kane. I miss you, Harry. Just come back. Just come home. We miss you.
He's doing too good at Bayern. He's never gonna come home.
He's never coming home. But that's okay. I mean, he's never gonna be. Werner's never gonna be Kane. But he can do the job. And with the supporting cast that he has around him, when Madison comes back from injury, with Son in the form he's in right now, and with Kulusevski, I think Werner can excel. But he has to score. Once he gets in front of goal, he needs to score.
He's a striker.
He needs to score. His job. You're getting paid millions and millions of dollars to put the ball in the back of the net. That is your job. This is your only duty. That's what you should be doing. And that's all I had to say about Werner.
Let me tell you what. I could not care less about Tottenham. I really, really couldn't. So, when I'm telling you about Radu,
yeah,
I think that's a great choice. I think that's something that your players need for depth.
I agree.
For Werner, you rated him as a 6 out of 10, right?
Yeah.
0 out of 10. Hey, no
You're such a
way.
hater. You're such a hater, dude.
I ain't no hater. I'm gonna tell you why. Because this man had Kai Havertz starting over him in the strike. Listen, in the Chelsea, he had Kai Havertz starting over him in the striker position. Now, if any of you watch Kai Havertz play, he is not a striker. He's not. I don't care. He's not a striker.
As a German,
right?
he's not a striker.
He's not a striker.
He's not a striker.
Okay? So here's the thing. You were signed for a Premier League club to be a chosen starting striker.
Yeah.
All right? And a center attacking mid who is not a good striker, who I personally think is a terrible striker, is starting over you. He's starting. Listen, he is starting over you. That is insanity. And because there's no reason that Timo Werner should have had him starting over him. And if he can't perform like that in the Premier League, we just talked about how much pressure it is. He can't perform like that in the Premier League. He's not useful to any Premier League team. He's great in Germany. He's great when he's home.
Right.
But that next level of the biggest stage.
And I agree with you. And I genuinely agree with you. I don't think it's a 0 signing. I think this is a time will tell signing. And the time is coming soon. We will see. Like what I would say to you is if he can't do it in this move to Tottenham, if he can't do it, he just needs to stay in Germany and just finish his career there because he's only putting numbers up for Leipzig.
Okay, so I actually don't know this. Is Timo Werner going to be available? There's a game, as of recording this, there's a game Sunday versus Man United versus Tottenham. So we will be at each other's throats this Sunday.
Yes.
But so for this game Sunday, will Timo Werner be available for the Tottenham lineup?
I'm not actually sure. I don't actually think he is.
Because I was going to say, if you lose with Timo Striker, I'm going to roast you so hard.
He is. It says, from what I'm looking at here, it says there's a potential. It's not, there's nothing set in stone, but there's a potential he could start. He could play, come on as a sub, one of the two, but I'm not sure. That'll be we'll know when the time comes. We'll know Sunday. So a little bit of a less serious transfer that I want to talk about. This one is the only one that isn't really confirmed. It's kind of just talks, and me and you discussed this a little bit before. But Angel Correa potentially going to Al Ittihad.
Yes.
So my thought is, and me and you shared the same exact opinion on this. He's too quality for Al Ittihad. I do think he does. I agree with you. I do think he does need to move away.
Absolutely.
From Atletico. I think personally he would be perfect at Inter Milan. I like he would be good a good replacement for Alexis Sanchez once Sanchez gets too old and can't do it anymore. But I mean this is kind of a move where it's either you move for the money or you move to finish your career kind of thing.
So Angel Correa isn't very old though.
No, he's like 24, right?
I think he's in his mid-20s.
He's like 23, 24, I believe. Something
so
like that.
he's not that old. In the Saudi league, he will make however much money he wants.
Right.
With the opportunities provided by the league, I guarantee you there's advertisement companies over there that are going to pay him a fortune. But I don't think he should leave La Liga. I really don't.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
So, while I agree that Inter need a replacement for Sanchez, and they need it soon because he's old, he's getting up there. I don't think it's Angel Correa.
I guess that's fair because leaving the Liga for him is gonna be difficult. Anyways, also I just looked, he's 28.
Oh, late 20s. All right,
yeah,
my bad.
He's late 20s. So I knowing his age now, I actually flip it. I agree with you. I don't think he should leave La Liga, but no. I think he needs to go to like a struggling side, Sevilla, who are just outside the relegation zone, Valencia, who are mid-table.
I'm gonna give you a weird one. I think you should go to Real Betis.
Betis. I mean, that would be okay. I would be okay with that, honestly, because Fekir would feed him massive amount of goals. That would be a good move, actually.
And from being a short player who's very ball heavy,
yes,
who better to learn from than Isco?
Yes,
who is playing the ball of his life.
Isco's class.
Yes.
This is unpopular opinion, and I'll get slewed for this later.
I'm excited to hear this.
I prefer Isco at Betis over Isco at Madrid. He's wise now. He's got freedom. He's not surrounded by like the high quality, so he can be the star on the field if he wants to be. He can
he has been.
The attention can be on him. He can really unlock his potential. Where at Madrid, yes, he's unlocking his potential. He's class, but he's surrounded by players that are substantially better than him, so he's not getting that starring role as he should have.
I don't know how I feel about this because Isco's class, and while yes, everyone knows as in the Premier League, I'm a Man United fan, but my first team, always and forever, my heart beats for Real. And looking at that, I don't think Isco was not completely outclassed. Because right now, I might take Isco over Cruz.
I would too. I would too. 100%.
And at the time, that big three was Casemiro, Modric, and Cruz.
Yeah, and that's hard to get in.
That's really hard.
In their prime, no one else gets into that midfield except for maybe De Bruyne. But other than that, like he's never coming to Real Madrid. So like that wouldn't matter.
That'd be amazing if he did.
It would be pretty good for you guys. But,
no.
I agree with you. Isco does not get into that midfield in their prime, and I think that's why him moving to Betis was so good for his career.
Here's why I somewhat right now moving to Betis was absolutely great for his career.
Yeah.
What I think he should have done, or what Real should have done with him, is they didn't need to hold on to him for as long as he did. What they needed to do was use him for a loan. So it didn't need to be Betis, but it needed to be somewhere where they needed an attacking mid.
Yeah.
Where he could get whatever he wants. Obviously, it's a lot easier now because they're like, hey, I have a team of relatively young players. We're medium in the La Liga. I'm going to bring you in here to teach them, and you have the keys. All right? You can do whatever you want. And then he's shining, and he's showing that he can be class as Cruz.
Right.
I think he needed something like that midway through his career.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
Then he would have been good. We got a little off track there, but back to Correa.
Yes. Back to Correa.
That's just it. I think it's the same situation.
Yeah, I agree with you. And we're on the topic of Argentines, so I want to bring your focus to this Boca Juniors teenager, born in 2004. I have watched a lot of this kid because, as you guys may not know this, but you will now. Brighton, I don't know what their scouts take in the morning or what they eat in the morning, but I have an infatuation with scouting, and I love finding these young players, and Brighton just do that. So every time I am looking for the next upcoming baller or this next youth academy star, I go to Brighton first because their scouts are incredible. They found Mitoma, they found Adingra, they found all these players that are just coming in and being class, and they've done it again. They have done it again. This 2004 midfielder, Valentin Barco from Bacchus Jr., for 10 million euros, he's permanent signing. They triggered his release clause from Boca Juniors. He looks insane. Let me just tell you some of his stats. I went in an in-depth search on this kid because I wanted my stuff to be right. He produces 87% progressive passes per 90 minutes for Boca. 87% progressive. That means like a good 8/10 of his passes are positive. Like, he is so influential to Boca Junior's season. Like, he's been incredible since playing. And this is the one that I like. I had to look up this on multiple places. I had to go through multiple sources to make sure this is correct, but it's correct. This guy has a 99% success rate on take-ons. He's taking people on and just beating them every time. He looks so good. And I get it. It's the Argentinian league. It's not as high quality as the Premier League.
That's exactly what my next argument was going to be. Yeah.
It's a different ball game. It's a way different ball game. But I've watched this kid enough to, and he's versatile. He plays as a midfielder, but he also has played left back. He's played as a winger. I've seen him play as a center forward for a little bit. So he can play anywhere. He's definitely a midfielder, though, but he can play anywhere. From what I've seen from him, personally, I think this is a good transfer for Brighton. It's another bright young talent. They can send him on loan if they want to, if he doesn't work out. They have Baleba in their midfield, the other really young talent. Those two can fight for a spot. That gives them competition. That gives them more of a reason to fight for the starting spot. I think this is a good transfer for Brighton.
Yeah, you know what? Usually, so far, I usually seem to play the negative with you a little bit more, but I agree with you on this one because it's like you said, he has a lot of talent. Brighton scouts, clearly put something in their coffee. So I agree. It's a place where he's going to have a lot of time to grow.
Yeah.
The stage isn't as big. It's big, but
it is a big stage.
It is still pretty big. It's going to be quite a move for him.
I agree.
So I don't see him clicking right away, but I can definitely see him being very substantial to Brighton and possibly a bigger club when they have the opportunity to take a look at him.
And other things that people don't think about when it comes to transfers is like this is a young teenager from Argentina.
Yeah, he's 19.
He doesn't speak English. He's not used to British weather. He doesn't speak English. So there's going to be communication barriers. There's going to be, he's not used to the weather. Argentina is pretty warm compared to the United Kingdom. So it's a huge life change for this kid. So he's not only does he have to change his life, he's got to change his talent. He's got to improve how the team. He's got to fit into the team. So you got to think about things like that too.
The nice thing that he has going for him is within the Premier League there is a lot of Spanish speakers, and that transfer over there is going to be the most difficult thing.
Well, he's got Estupiñán, who's Colombian. So
yeah, and that they're probably going to be pretty close because that's going to be almost one of the few people he can talk to at the moment. Knowing how much outside of that, he's going to possibly put a lot of pressure on himself just to fit in with the culture of being English. Because for how many years he's staying there, he might just get citizenship. He's gonna have to learn how to be in that culture.
Yeah, I agree.
Pretty much what you just said. But what I really think that's gonna take, I really don't want that to take away from his game, from football.
Yeah, no,
because
I agree.
If not, he's gonna pull away and be just fine.
And I agree. And his I know I've been praising a lot of these youngsters and a lot of these transfers, but this guy has real potential.
He does.
This guy, I was amazed. I was like, okay, this guy looks like the real deal. He looks like he could be something good. And if he doesn't work out at Brighton, he could easily walk into a Sevilla's midfield or in the future, of course, not right now.
Yeah.
In the future, in the future, I could see him walking into a La Liga side and being their best midfielder, depending on the club. I could see him at Sevilla. I could see him at a lower level club, maybe Valencia.
But it's all dependent on how this first move goes.
It's how his first step goes at Brighton.
Well, because we all just talked about how Timo Werner just had the hardest thing, and he was already playing in a top 5 league in the same continent.
Yeah.
So
it's a big move. It's a big
massive
move, and I think this will and moves like these separate the real rising stars of soccer and who's going to be the next big thing, because not every youngster is with talent is going to become something big.
Not every youngster with talent is going to be able to play for more than a couple of years.
Right. This guy could drop off this season. He could drop off in 2 games. He could get in a career-ending injury week 1. You never know.
My personal opinion on this kid is he's gonna. I say kid. He's a year older than me. My personal opinion is he's gonna fall. There's no way he can't. This league is considered to be one of the biggest in the world. This league is on the other side of the world.
Yep.
He's gonna have to work with a different culture. He's gonna have to work with a lot of different teammates. Working in the Argentinian league, he was playing with a lot of Argentinians and Spanish speakers, but moving to England,
it's going to be a different ballgame.
It's going to be a whole different ballgame. So I see him. I'm not going to lie. I see him having a very poor first season.
Yeah,
I
do too.
don't see him coming there and having this like half of the same effectiveness that he did. I see him coming there, falling off really hard, maybe falling back down to the bench. But once he has that year or two under his belt, then he's really going to shine.
The way that I see it is there's going to be two things that happen to this kid this season. One, he's going to get thrown right into the depths of Europe. He's going to go on loan. That's what I think. I think they'll loan him out. He's really young. He doesn't have a lot of experience. I think he'll play a couple games in January and then go on loan. Or he'll sit the bench, play a few games, show his talent. Maybe he's good. He plays more. Or maybe he's bad and he drops off.
I do feel that is the one thing where I feel the skepticism is because I agree. I think he should go to loan to an even smaller club, possibly even something like the Championship.
Yes,
or La Liga Smart Bank.
I was thinking the Championship.
Yes, because I can't the difference from me going to meet up with some of my Sunday friends to play and then going to a meetup with indoor guys who actually play, that is such a small difference from what I am going to.
Right.
He is going from Argentina to the Premier League.
And
so
in the Premier League, like we said earlier, the Premier League is arguably the best league in the world. It's arguably the highest quality league in the world.
Thank you for adding arguably.
And you gotta be a little skeptical because there are some good leagues out there. Like I personally have always been torn between the Premier League and La Liga and the Bundesliga. Those are my big three.
Absolutely.
In that order, though, I would put Prem, then La Liga, then Bundesliga. But you could make cases for La Liga and you could make cases for the Bundesliga sometimes. But, I mean, like we said, Valentin Barco, he could be good. He really could be good for Brighton, whatever club he ends up at, on loan if he goes on loan or whatever his future holds. I hope this kid does good. I do.
I do. Out of all of everybody here, I think he's the most interesting. I'm most excited to see where he goes. Well, Sancho's second because I need him in Man United.
Right. And
definitely him.
Well, there's one more transfer that I have here. It's not a permanent transfer. It is a just a loan. So Chelsea, they have. I will give one credit to Chelsea, just one. They have been pretty good at picking out youngsters, and they have this guy, this striker. He's 22. He's an Ivory Coast native. Chelsea bought him from Molde. In the Norwegian league, he scored 15 goals, and that's why they bought him. I'm talking about David Datro Fofana. He's on loan at Union Berlin. He only has one goal for them in the Bundesliga, and he has one goal for them in the Champions League. Union Berlin did awful in the Champions League. They didn't win anything. They got last place, but it was their very first ever Champions League appearance. So we can't. And he was good. Like I watched them play, and he didn't score very many. He only scored one. But he was good. He could have scored more. The chances just weren't there for them. But he's going to be going on loan to Burnley with no buy option. And I have this as a potential 8 out of 10 transfer, but I have it as a 5. And here's why. Let me explain before.
I like 5, yeah.
And let me explain why. This is a guy who's not scoring a lot.
Yeah.
And this is a club who is sitting 19th in the Premier League in relegation. They are in desperate need of a goal scorer. They have no confidence right now. They're currently they look sunk. I've been saying it all. Them and Sheffield United look relegated already.
Yeah.
Like they look down and out. I think if Fofana comes in confident and he starts scoring for Burnley, I think, and you can quote me on this for when I'm right, potentially. If Fofana starts scoring, I guarantee you he will save Burnley from relegation. And that is a big shout. If he starts scoring. If he starts scoring, he will not stop scoring. Because I watched him play in Norway for Molde, and he was class. He was so good. But he has to score. He has to. If he doesn't score, he's going to be just like Amdouni and Lyle Foster for Burnley. He's just going to be swapping in and out and not scoring and not being confident. That's what Burnley lacks right now. That's why they're so low in the Premier League. That's why they're in a relegation battle. They're not confident. All of their players are a bit young. They've only got a couple of older players, and the young players aren't getting it done. I think that for me, their best player the whole season has been Koleosho, and he barely even plays. So Burnley have got to figure it out. And for me personally, I think Fofana is that missing puzzle piece if he starts scoring. If he scores, he's got to he needs. I'm expecting at least 10 goals from him. At least he needs to at least score in the 7 to 10 range.
That is a tall order.
Burnley's gonna go down if someone doesn't start scoring for them. It is a tall order. 7 to 10 goals for a striker on loan for half a season is a lot. But I could even bump it down to a 5 to 7. He needs to score. He needs to be on the score sheet if he's going to play for Burnley. And Burnley need goals. That's their biggest problem, is their goal scoring.
So currently, as of recording this is Friday
the 12th.
The 12th. Friday the 12th, 2024. So as of recording this, Burnley have played 20 games.
Yep.
They have won 3, tied 2,
and lost like 17.
And lost 15. I said 20 games. They've lost 15.
Okay.
So as of right now, they have 11 points in the league. The only person
the worst of them is Sheffield. I think Sheffield are going down, but
Sheffield's going to go down. I that's not a discussion. I think they're going down. It's kind of a done deal. So
and they're 4 points off of Luton.
They're 4 points off of Luton.
And they're 5 points off of Everton.
Yeah.
Those are the
Sorry,
go ahead.
No, you're good. What I'm saying here is I don't see him. I see him maybe, finding some new tactics that might work, because he's going to need Burnley's going to have to give him freedom to play in his own way, because I don't see him scoring. I really don't. He's young. He's in the Premier League, which all credit to him. He's playing for Burnley. And it's like it's not there. You cannot play soccer. You cannot play soccer, football, whatever the hell you want to call it. You cannot play it alone.
Yeah, I agree.
He's
gonna be alone. He's gonna be alone.
He's gonna be alone.
Well, and I'll piggyback off of that. As much as I've been hyping him up and I'm saying he can do this and this, I agree with you. I don't think he's gonna reach that ceiling that I was just talking about.
No, yeah.
I don't. I don't see. He is the answer to Burnley if he scores, and that is the biggest if you'll ever hear.
Yeah,
that is the biggest if. He's more likely to not perform at Burnley, but in all fairness, I don't think he's gonna matter to him. He can have a poo-poo season at Burnley. They go down, and he goes back to Chelsea. Like and then he goes on loan to another club. Like that's what's gonna happen, or he gets transferred off because Chelsea are tired of him stinking up the Prem. But either way, I don't see him performing, and I do see Burnley going down. My relegation predictions at the beginning of the season were the 3 teams that got promoted will go back down, which is Burnley, Luton, and Sheffield. Although Luton are making their case to stay up in the Prem, I could see Everton or Nottingham going down, or maybe even Crystal Palace if they keep having an awful season. But no, I think Luton Town will stay up. I don't think Luton Town will stay up. I think Everton will end up staying up. They always somehow escape. But I will say Burnley and Sheffield look buried. And and Sheffield United, they are horrible. They look down and out. And when they lost to Luton on Boxing Day, that was it for me. I was like, in my mind, I was like, there's no way they stay up now, because you just lost to. Not only did you just lose to somebody who's fighting you for relegation, but you lost at home. You lost at home. You lost in your own stadium.
Yeah.
You can't lose a relegation scrap in your own stadium. That's exactly how you go down. So for me, Sheffield's going down, and for me, Burnley is going down. Vincent Kompany has not done enough in the transfer market.
No.
I'm going to be honest with you. I know a lot about soccer. All I do is scout. All I do is look up transfers. All I do is watch the players and stats. I've never heard of Lyle Foster before until this season. I didn't know who that was at all. Vincent Kompany has no attack. Their only good attacker is
Fofana now.
Fofana. But I mean, they have Koleosho, he's on and off. He's just too young. He's not good enough to be in the Prem. He's a championship level player at the moment. He's not good enough for the Prem.
No.
And then Zeki Amdouni, he could be good in the Bundesliga, but he's not Prem quality either. And those are their only attacking options. And Lyle Foster, in my opinion, he's not even. He's barely championship quality in my opinion. He doesn't have it.
No.
And neither does Burnley. Their best player for me besides Koleosho this season has been Sander Berge.
And here's how you know that he's not very good. I don't know who he is.
Exactly. I mean, I
don't know who he is.
It's that simple. And I'm sorry for any Burnley fans listening. We're just trashing on your club right now. But you guys have something to figure out, and it's the whole squad. James Trafford in goal, he looks the part. He looks like he could be a future Prem goalie, just not yet.
Yeah.
Just not yet. And he doesn't have a strong enough defense to give him a chance to even have a shout for that. So, I mean, yeah, Burnley's going to go down, and Fofana's probably not it.
Yeah, we're gonna see. We're gonna have to wait and see.
It's gonna be an exciting transfer window.
It's gonna be an exciting
whatever
transfer.
happens at the end.
The season is gonna be fun. I am looking forward to the end of the season.
Yeah.
You know, let's hope Sancho gets his footing back.
Yep.
And let's hope Chelsea get relegated.
Let's hope Chelsea gets relegated. Let's hope Werner finds some form maybe. Let's hope Radu does good on the back line. Good luck to all these players and their moves. So yeah, that'll just about do it for us today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to the 90th Minute Podcast. We'll be back next week with some more. We'll discuss the Premier League a little bit. We'll get into the top 6, maybe into the relegation. We'll go more in depth. But this has been the 90th Minute Podcast. I've been your host, Dalian.
And I've been your guest host, Miles Kumbay.
And thank you for tuning in.